Hey guys, welcome to the WeddingPros podcast. Super excited to have you guys on today. Wanted to let you guys know about something. We are going to be in Vegas for WPPI. I'm doing a bunch of special episodes with some really cool people. We got the guys from How to Film Weddings are coming on. Jonathan Snyder, who's like an expert on pricing, and he's also a really wonderful videographer or wedding filmmaker, depending on how he wants to be called. And then we're also hopefully going to be doing some stuff with some really cool just products and a bunch of different stuff. So definitely be checking out our WPPI coverage from February like 22nd, I think, 23rd to the 27th, 28th. We're going to be releasing some content, and also there'll be some awesome episodes coming from there. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we actually have a lot of content besides the podcast, right, Jared?
Yeah, we do, and it's actually something that we're eventually going to be producing probably every single week as we currently kind of wrap up some other projects. But that's the intention, is we're going to be pushing out a lot of YouTube content, photography, videography, gear related,
kind of how to, but like I think for us, like when we're looking
stuff.
Yeah, when we're looking at like our content, like I think there's a lot of people who are making really wonderful tutorial content that's targeted at people who are getting started, and we're fine with that, and we'll have a little of that too, because we love people who are getting started. We want to be a resource as well, but our goal is to really provide maybe just a little bit of a different side to that content. So hopefully we're able to do that with some of the products we talk about and some of the strategies we talk about. And so let us know what you're interested in, and maybe we can tailor some content to the audience. But in general, anyway, today we're doing an episode.
Yep. We have a very special guest in the pod today. Fine art film photographer and lead photographer and designer from the drink company, Eli di Faria, is in the house. Eli, thank you for joining us, man.
You're welcome.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has. Thank you so much for having me. It's
yeah,
an honor.
dude. It's a small world. We're talking about it off, air. We had a lot of kind of mutual, somewhat acquaintances over the years, and you are our local photographer. So you're based in New England, Massachusetts, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
You're down in Providence, so you're neighbors to me.
Yeah.
And I had followed you, so I have all these social medias, right? I have all these Instagram accounts. I probably have like 7 Instagram accounts. And so all my followers on the different Instagram accounts are for like different types of people, like personal, and follow like my mom and all that stuff. Stop, Go, Love, we follow just kind of everyone. My personal photography one, I just follow the people that I'm like, I love their work. And I'm just like, want to be inspired. I want to scroll through all these people. And you were one of those people. I was
Thanks,
like, man,
man.
his work is so good. And then I'm scrolling through and I'm like, I know that person. What Instagram account am I in? Like, how do I really, I know that person. I went to high school with them. I graduated with them. Like, me and Emily were a part of a 12-person class that graduated.
Wow.
Like, it's just a super small world. So I was like, oh, man, Eli is like a local guy. I had no idea he's a local guy, and I have to have him on and talk to him a little about, what he does. And you do a lot of, film work, which I just love, and it's always been a puzzle to me. I haven't understand it, so I was like, we have to have him on. We have to talk to him about creativity, because your work is just outstanding. And,
thanks, man.
We wanted to have you on and talk a little bit about some of the things that you're into. So thank you, for coming on and talking through some of those things.
Thank you for having me.
So talk a little bit about your work, because I don't want to, put words in your mouth as far as like, oh, your style is this. Like, I think just people talking a little about their work, what they're trying to do. Maybe you can describe some of your wedding work, and then we can kind of hop into the commercial side a little bit later.
Sure. Let's see. I feel like I fall in such a unique place in my photography, because I do so many different styles that I just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I guess I just really love. I really try to evoke so much emotion in pretty much all of my photos. Even like with weddings, that I'm sure every photographer has a wedding that's not all rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes there's no chemistry with the.
You have those too?
With the couple. Oh yeah, man. I have those. But I always strive for like a deep, meaningful connection with my couples. Even prior to shooting the wedding, like I try to cultivate that relationship through the booking process, and then I really try to get an engagement as well. Just for me, that's like where the relationship really like can blossom into something else.
Totally.
And
totally
I feel
agree.
like that connection with me and my couples or my clients is what I feel like what elevates my work.
Sure.
I think. And I try to convey that in pretty much everything that I share.
Yeah.
How important do you think your relationship with a client is, or maybe, and this maybe counts for everyone, but it definitely seems to count for you, that relationship, that almost intimacy you get with the client. How does that trust work into the posing process?
That's a good question. I feel like the more they trust me, the more the deeper the relationship goes, I guess. The less hesitant they are to like my instructions. I've even had, actually, for example, for work at Buy a few years ago, I wanted to do just like headshots of people in the office.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go like the extra mile and not just do boring headshots. And I wanted to do like minimal clothing, like very artistic, very like noir. And I got some of the people to just like be almost shirtless, and even some of the women to like be completely not nude, but like they looked like the viewer would not be able to tell, but like in a very artistic and tasteful way. And some of those people would never even think to do that.
Yeah.
But like having that connection, I feel like allows for people just like, okay, this guy's not a creep. He's like not a weirdo. I trust him.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. And it's really opened up to a lot of opportunities for that.
How did you generate that kind of trust with, like, these are people that you work with every day at Buy. So like, I feel like that's another level of like complication where it's like, I find taking photos of like our guys in office is like probably the weirdest, because I'm like, my jokes don't work on them because they, know me. And like, usually when I'm having an interaction with the bride and groom, it's like, I have my like go-to things that I can do all the time. These guys, it won't work on. They're just kind of like, it's hard. So how did you sell them on that idea up front? Like, what was like kind of like the process? Because I think it relates to working with a bride and groom on a wedding day.
No, for sure. I kind of just painted like this incredible product of what they would get. Yeah. I would basically make them feel like the most beautiful person in the world. And I wouldn't say they were like empty compliments. They were genuine, but I would find what, like, if someone, like, I can tell when someone's like a little insecure about something. Like a feature that they don't like to share. People always say I have a good side. But I try to encourage people to like stretch that even further and let them know like everyone's beautiful. There's beauty in anything. And it doesn't have to be like so linear. It can be completely abstract. And it can still look super cool. Like some of those photos, I plan to do a headshot, but like they probably wouldn't go up on LinkedIn. It's much more like abstract and fun and just playful.
Sure.
I think my point is to turn it into play. And when you're playing, you kind of like let your guards down a bit.
When you're photographing people in general, how much of it is do you have like a conversation for the most part? Are you just always like talking to them? Do you ask a lot of questions?
Yes.
Like, what's the?
I always try to have a conversation going.
I can tell. Just I read a book. I think that really shaped my photography worldview, and I wouldn't say I'm even close to getting to where I want to be as a photographer. But he was always like, asking good questions of people is where I get a lot of like really great reaction. And I can tell that when you're working with people, like these are just like normal people, like normal ass people. Like it's not like we're always working with models. But the thing that I struggle with is making people feel like I can make people feel comfortable in a conversation. I haven't really found a way to transfer that to a photo shoot. I find like a lot of times I tend to stay a little bit farther away, and I find getting close is a lot harder for me as like a photographer. So
I mean, it is a challenge. It doesn't come easy for me.
Totally.
But
you probably have to push yourself quite a bit.
But when me and my wife were first dating, maybe 7-8 years ago, we found a fortune cookie. And then it said, seek first to understand, then to be understood. And that's something that like always stuck just in our relationship. But we really tried to apply that with literally anything. And I also apply that with like the people I shoot with.
Totally.
If I try to understand this person and like how they feel and where they're coming from, they can then understand what I'm trying to do. And it's really, it just makes it easier.
Sure.
Well, the people skills that we bring to the table, we say this all the time. It's like it's all about people.
Yeah.
We're in the people business, and the art form is like some ways defined, I think, when we talk about it, by equipment, by the medium, and by the tools. And people go like, oh, I got this film, or I got this camera, or this lens. But the craft, I think, is actually defined by like it's a much more complex mix of tools, materials, and then of course there's the people element and like the touch and the psychology of it, and and the making people like. It's funny because people like think, oh, I'm going to give you these photos and I'm going to make you happy. But few people think, oh, I'm going to pose with you and I'm going to make you happy to get good photos. Yeah. And like, that's really what it is if you can make a person have either have some kind of good, in a professional, hopefully they don't need that. Even though I think we all know that when you work with models, they still sometimes need it. Yeah. But hopefully they don't. Hopefully they're professional. You walk in, you turn the camera on, you get going. But you hear those guys are driving the room. Those very high-powered fashion photographers, they're not quietly snapping photos.
No, and that's so awkward when you're just like snapping. Nothing's. There's no one talking. Like the model's not moving. Like what do you do?
Yeah, they're like creating energy.
Yeah,
they're creating the vibe, and it's like, what are we trying to create when we're working with this couple? So, what would you say? I love your posing. When I looked at your work and I'm thinking about like I can always tell when someone is really good at posing because of some of the things you're able to get people do and they look comfortable. Yeah. Maybe it's some of the brides who are attracted to the work too, and who knows. But your posing is excellent. How do you feel? Because you do a lot of commercial work. Where do you think the big difference is between working with a couple on a wedding day or an engagement shoot, and then working with commercial, like a professional model? And do you feel you handle those sessions differently in posing? And like, what's the big difference to you?
I think so, because when I'm shooting commercial work, I work for an in-house creative team. So I guess the job is already secured, and I already have this
money in the bank, baby.
Stack money. Yeah. What is it? Make stack money, make big money.
Yeah.
So like the blanket of security is already like placed on me, and I don't have to like really sell myself, and I already have that trust level with whoever I'm working with, because I'm attached to like a much bigger corporation. As in with me and my wedding business, I kind of have to like sell myself a little bit more. I have to turn up my personality a little bit more to try to acquire like that level of comfort with the bride.
I find that to be the case too. Yeah, I find that weddings. And also, it's like you're not working with professionals. You're not working with
exactly. You don't have a whole team with you.
Yeah. They're going like they're. I'm always imagining that this person is either very nervous or very uncomfortable. Even if that's not true, I'm just always thinking like that's probably how they feel.
Yeah, the couple.
Yeah. And how can I be a part of like easing that and making it a better day for them?
No, for sure.
So what's like the biggest? You said you turn up your personality, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference between corporate Eli and wedding Eli?
Corporate Eli is very boring. No, just kidding.
All right, it's me, Eli.
Hurry up, go over there, turn the light on.
No. Where's my mocha? Yeah.
No. Well, I guess when you ask it like that, I guess there really isn't much of a difference, except I feel a lot more confident because I have someone working that's helping with set design. I have someone who's working with makeup. I have someone who's working with styling specifically for that. I have someone who's like assisting me with lights. There's more of what is the word? Capacity, I guess.
Sure.
For success.
The margin for error is much higher.
Yeah.
And you're only trying to get a finite amount of photos too.
Yes.
Like a very small amount.
Yeah.
As opposed to weddings.
Yeah. As with weddings, it's kind of like just me. And I don't really know this person. As is like with commercial work, I don't really know. If I'm shooting models, I don't really know them as well. But it's like my whole team against like one or two people that I don't know. As in a wedding, it's like hundreds of people that I don't know.
You're like invading someone's most important day.
Exactly. I feel like I'm like intrusive in a way.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I feel comfortable? And 2, how do I make them feel comfortable?
Yeah. That's interesting. It's when you, especially because like a lot of people who are working commercial doing like freelance work.
Yeah.
You know, which that's probably most of you who are doing commercial work that are listening to this. I don't know if we even said it. Well, we did, but like Eli, you're working at Buy and you're working at this company and like you have a lot of the same types of subjects, the same team, all that, and that must be nice. And we have some commercial clients, by the way. That's our relationship with them too. And I can tell you the difference between a regular client and a new client and a wedding. It's like night and day. So,
So you, I mentioned it in your intro, your very official intro. You know, you're the lead photographer there as well as designer.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, talking about, you know, that you have a hand in the actual design. Have you always been a designer? Did you start as a designer?
Yeah. Well, it's I have like an interesting background into how I got to photography and design. Yeah. Like any other millennial photographer on Instagram, I had a 35 millimeter in high school.
Oh yeah.
Like cliche, but I was really into photography when I was young. But growing up in like an immigrant household where your parents like drill in your head and you got to be a doctor, you got to be like, basically whatever you do not be an artist. I always like had that fear in the back of my mind, like photography would never cut it for me. Yeah. So I wanted something to be like, to lead me into like a successful career. Yeah. And then have photography to fall back on. So I chose graphic design, even though that was still risky. Sure. Under like a lot of people's eyes. I mean, I've been told many times, like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure. What the heck?" So I went to school for graphic design, and throughout the whole process, photography was always like my right hand thing. Yeah. And it's helped me in so much of like my classes and like my work. And I had like an equal passion for both, and I always struggled like, oh my God, what do I do? It's like, I need to be a grown up. Which one do I choose? Yeah. So it's very difficult until one magical day, I feel like God just opened up the doors of heaven, and this phone call came through, and it was the chief creative officer of Buy. Legit just called me. He said, "Hey, I found your work in Behance. We'd love to have you come in for an interview for design and for photography." I was like, "What?
Cool.
Is this a prank call?"
Yeah.
So I called him back. I went in and I got hired the next day. Yeah. Wow. So I started by 4 years ago. Okay. Mainly doing graphic design. I'm not going to say I'm the best designer. Yeah.
What if you did though? What if you were like, "I'm the best designer"?
No, I don't think I am. There's many other
very
talented
lucky to
people.
have me.
No. I'm the best designer. So.
But then I quickly learned that what they were really looking for was someone with like heavier photography skills. Sure. Which I happen to have. Yeah. And having both really helped me grow in this position. And I kind of, my position kind of organically grew into just being the main photographer. So sure. I led a lot of the product shoots, other commercial shoots that for campaigns we do on social media. And like in need basis, I will jump in and help the design team. Mm-hmm. Like actually, this recent week, we've been really, like our workload has been extremely heavy. Mm-hmm. And my coworkers always joke with me because every time I have to design something, they just hear me grunting on my computer. It's like Eli is not having fun because
that's like me when I'm editing. I'm yelling at our shooters like,
why did you do that? It doesn't come as natural for me as photography does. Okay. But it's something that like I try to not get too rusty because it can definitely help. Sure. With my business too.
That's like me with editing. Like I'm much more of a shooter. Like on the video side, if you got a camera in my hand, it's just like so natural. Like if I don't have to think about anything else. Yeah. When I bring it into the edit bay, I can edit, but it's a little bit more of a grind. It's a little bit more of like shaking your fist at the sky and cussing and.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that's awesome. I can always tell like when a photographer has that kind of background in design. I feel like their composition is just like so much better than what I can do. Like usually, like do you know Jeremy Cowart? He's a portrait photographer.
That name sounds super familiar.
He's been around for a while, but
yes. Oh my gosh, I actually had a dream about it tonight.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah,
Providence.
I know, that's crazy. He shoots a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
His work is like very like different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He's a designer.
Yes.
That got into photography.
Okay.
I had a person that I knew, growing up, probably 10 years ago, like getting into photography, and he was kind of a mentor to me. He was under Jeremy for a little bit when he was a designer, and then he was getting into photography. So, I knew about him, but it was like, it was such a strong, like, composition is so strong.
Yeah.
I feel like when you have a background in design, and I can tell with your work and just color and just like all these elements, as opposed to just kind of like, there's a lot of people out there, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just a certain kind of style that are just like, well, yeah, you guys kind of do your thing over there, and I find that I tend to fall back on that because it's secure. It's like a little bit easier. Getting close and trying to get certain composition and like I said, get close. That's intimidating to me. That's like a lot harder. And that's the thing that I love about your work is I'm like, oh man, I gotta get in there a little bit.
You gotta
more.
dive in.
Yeah, and I can tell like designers want to have full creative control.
Yeah, we do.
Well, how do you feel? I'm kind of a designer, but I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a designer, but I know how to use like, InDesign.
Everything.
and I know for me, like, visual communication is what design is about.
Yeah.
And usually in marketing, I'm always thinking about product marketing with design, and how do I storytell this in a way that a person knows not only that this is beautiful, but how much it costs, or
exactly. Yeah.
like this conveying very specific information. And sometimes I'll even say like, it doesn't matter what it looks like, it matters what it tells people.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not true with photos. and I think, but at the same time, it's a different thing you're communicating. What is the biggest difference between, like, sometimes you're communicating this is beautiful with design, of course. That's that there's a time and a place for that. But sometimes it's just a lot more pragmatic.
Yeah.
What is the biggest difference between that way of communicating visually and then what you do with wedding photography?
What is the biggest difference?
For you, like, because I feel you have to take almost like a 180 turn in your brain sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I don't know, man.
Do you feel like they're more similar maybe than like that when you think about it, like, or do you think that they actually are communicating very different ways?
I think with photos is a little bit more complex because with design, like packaging, for example, that's the only thing you have to tell the story. But with photos, you have many photos to tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a portfolio.
Exactly. So especially with weddings, I feel like one photo alone won't be able to convey the whole story. So I think, and this is something that, like, maybe this is what you're thinking, like, when you're asking that, but I feel like when I'm shooting any wedding or anything, I try to bring, like, basically like puzzle pieces. Like, if someone can put these together, what message are they going to be able to see from these collections of photographs? And I think that's, for me, that is the difference. It's not, I can't just do that with one photo. Sometimes I get lucky, or sometimes the situations just like are amazing.
Every once in a while, there's a wedding photo or an image or a sequence that tells the whole story.
Exactly.
But not every wedding, and not all the time.
Exactly.
And I think that is the big difference, right? Is like, you would never try to tell, and actually even in packaging, you would never try to tell everything about the product on the package. You would tell the essential things, and that's hard to do in one photo. The essential things of a day, like, they ate here. This is what their family's like. This part was really romantic, but this part was a sick party. Like,
it's all fragmented.
It's spread out, and so the goal is like. So actually, that leads me to something interesting. So, like, portfolio building. When you're collecting, so you have like the stories you're telling per wedding, right? And then there's this long form story you're telling about yourself, which is like on an Instagram profile, like you had talked about Behance. Like, there's always this way that we tell stories to the world about who we are, and it's a marketing for ourselves.
Yeah.
What was your strategy when you're building out that, especially for your wedding work? Like, you're trying to tell a story about what you do and who you are to potential brides. Like, when you think about building that out, what are you looking for in terms of like telling a story about who you are, we'll say on Instagram?
I definitely try to, and this is something I've only recently, maybe like within the last 6 months, because it's easy to like put up a wall and not let people in. I mean, even personally, but in social media, it's even easier to just do that. And I've learned that if I want to attract the clients that I want to be shooting, the people that like I can connect with, not the most easily, but more deeply, I feel like I have to also open up to the world a little bit. So I've been, along with like my super moody images, I really try to open up the world to like who I am as well. And even though it doesn't always come as easy, I try to be vulnerable in ways that like, oh my God, this person's going through this too, me too. Or I didn't think Eli, who looks to be so successful, may actually struggle in this area. Which I think, like I said earlier, it's easier for us to like put up a facade and pretend like everything's perfect and like we have it all together, but I don't have it all together. I'm still struggling sometimes. I still have like questions that I don't have answers to.
And people are interested in that.
You know?
Well, it's a better story.
Yeah.
Like, it's, even though it's true, I think storytelling is all about creating tension. Right. And having realness is part of that. Like, when we're telling our own brand story, it's a really good point, which is like, you hear this all the time, like, oh, be real with people. And I'm like, what is that? Sometimes, honestly, I've questioned that. Like, what the heck does that look like? You just complain about your problems on Instagram, and that's like, then you're being real. It's like, what if you don't feel that way? What if you just feel good every day? Like,
and that's great.
And I think that's what it is like, if we define being real as actually being real, like figuring out a way to tell that story. Like, with your brand. Obviously, we're also curating a visual story too, which is like a visual aesthetic. How do you want brides to perceive that? You mentioned moody film. Like, when you're thinking about your brand, how are you trying to communicate that part of the story?
I'm basically just wanting to let them know that I'm also human, and like, you're hiring a photographer, but you're hiring a person. Like, I'm not.
So you better pay up.
Basically, no. I just like I yearn for like a meaningful connection, and if I'm an open book, I'm gonna attract the brides that can also connect with me on a deep level. And with that, everything else just kind of comes naturally.
Well, because you're good. Because you're good.
Oh no.
Just like, I mean, at the core of like all this stuff is like, we're talking next level stuff. I believe like all the stuff you're talking about is how you go from being mildly successful to having a career doing something.
I'm trying.
like that's how you do it, right? It's like, you be good, and not anyone can be good, but a lot of people can be good. But like, good is a baseline. The baseline is be good. And then what takes you to that next level is the kind of stuff we're talking about.
I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Jasmine Star.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
I was looking at her Instagram today.
Okay.
We got to have her on the podcast.
Oh my gosh. No, if you have her on the podcast, I'll come here and just watch.
She's actually one of my ultimate guests.
Oh my gosh. I love her. She's incredible.
And
one of her biggest things is like, how do you differentiate yourself from such a saturated industry? Just be yourself. And that's like my number one thing. Like, for so long I've focused on like film photography, for example. Everyone's shooting film. I gotta shoot film too. Everyone's shooting light and airy. I gotta shoot light and airy. Everyone's like posting like these styled images of like the invitations. I gotta do it exactly like that. But if I'm doing exactly what everyone's doing, what's gonna make a bride want to hire me as opposed to hiring the guy next door?
Price.
But then
that's it. Then all you can do is compete on price, and who wants to do that?
Exactly. I'm gonna like be slaving myself. I'm gonna be like burn myself out, and I've done that, and it's not fun. It makes me hate my job. But differentiating myself is a lot more than like in the creative level. It's about letting the people know, this is me as a person. There's only one of me, and you may go to someone else next door.
Well, and clients don't know the difference between I know this bothers artists, but they really can't tell that you're significantly better or worse than someone else.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Like, they don't know. They have feelings they get, and
Yeah.
it's important to communicate feel. This is why the emotion of your art is really important, because they get a feeling. But they can tell. Did you read that email we got yesterday from a bride?
I've read many emails.
Yeah. Anyway, it was really late at night. She she emailed us at like 11 o'clock. Jared had spoken to her on the phone, and she said like, "Hey, I can't afford you guys. I was looking at a different price.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah, that one.
yeah, she
I
said,
did a lot of those too.
but she said this, and it was really awesome. She goes, "Hey, I just want to thank you. I was really surprised because when we got on the phone, you wanted to know about me and talked about me." Even though I can't afford you guys, I just really wanted to let you know that. And maybe she'll end up booking us, and that'd be awesome. And maybe she'll go somewhere else, and that would be great. We just want her to be happy. But
Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yes.
There you go.
She gets.
Do you have that hang? You got to have that hanging up somewhere, man.
It's in my head.
Yeah.
Thinking up in my brain.
We'll go open every fortune cookie across the street. Tell you.
That's how you'll find that one.
But that really underscored to me, like, that's the experience we strive for.
Yeah.
As a brand and as a company, is like that person calling me and treating. Somebody said on a group the other day, they said something like, "Oh, how do I differentiate luxury experience for couples?" And I'm like, versus budget brides. And he's like, first of all, stop calling people budget brides.
Totally.
I was like, you can't.
Everyone has a budget, even if it's a big one.
You can't treat a person. You can't treat a person like I was like, treat everyone like they're rich. Treat everyone like they can afford it. Don't treat people like that. Don't think of a person like that, because that you're cutting down the walls of intimacy and connection with a person. And like, I've seen it and you've seen it, and we probably do it in different ways, and Jared does it, but like being real and authentic and really connecting with people pays dividends, man, because not only, I mean, I think it helps us with sales and it helps you with posing. Yeah. And it like, I didn't set out to do those things. They just ended up being the result of making a person like you.
Yeah. Exactly.
I find it interesting that you say that you want to let people in and, being vulnerable with people, because I feel like I see that because we talked about it, the closeness that you get to people. In order to be really close to people, you have to be intimate. And I'm talking about like camera length, like your camera is actually super close to the couple. But I think that does take a certain level of intimacy. Like, you trust me to be this close. Like, we're just taking photos. Like, and I want real emotion. I'm gonna ask you personal questions, and like, I feel that. I feel like you have to give that up. Like, when I think about like the world.
Well, that's you being intimate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's you being intimate.
Yeah,
which is vulnerable for you.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like that whole side when I'm doing photography, I'm working on that. Yeah. Like, I'm still trying to get there with just like I said, I stay kind of far away. There's probably is that wall. Like you said, it's easy to, create a wall and create barriers. I feel like the world I've tried to focus on is like New England. I want it to feel like water, ocean, and just kind of create this world creatively, because I'm still trying to figure out like what is like the style, what do I like to photograph, like what is that side of things. And the closeness is I'm not there yet. Yeah. Like I don't know if I'm ready to give that yet. But I think the more I'm into it, the more I'm like, I start stepping a little bit closer, getting a little closer. For me, it means it's got to be full package. So it's got to be through the whole process. I'm kind of creating this vibe with a couple of like, I'm interested in you. I'm interested in you. And maybe that's kind of where I'm trying to work on, is like, through the whole process, just what does intimacy mean even before the engagement session? Yeah. Like asking the right questions, giving people just time, is going to give people a really kind of valuable experience. I think we have it down for video. I'm still working on it on the photo side with myself, but yeah, I love that answer, man. It's awesome. Thank you. What would you say? So there's a lot of people out there know the technical side. They know their cameras. They know like studio stuff or whatever. A lot of people, I think, struggle with that creative side. They might think like being creative means getting a certain camera angle, using a tilt shift lens, like
those smoke grenades.
Just like it's more like what.
You mean you didn't use those too?
No.
What random thing?
I mean, I'm not saying I never would if the idea called for it.
Yeah. It's like, well, what random thing can I do to separate myself from everyone else? And kind of in the process of separating themselves, it's like everyone is throwing smoke grenades and like, you know, I don't even know if people are doing that anymore. It's
I feel like
I've seen a lot.
Yeah, okay. How would you encourage somebody to be creative? That's a huge question.
That is a huge question. I would say step out of your comfort zone. That doesn't automatically mean you're gonna come out with like amazing creative work.
Probably, actually, you will come out with a lot of bad stuff.
Exactly. Yes.
Experiment.
Will.
Yeah.
Because one, you're doing it out of comfort, and when you're uncomfortable with something, it's I mean, who does a good job when you're uncomfortable? You're more prone to messing up. You're more prone to miss certain details or things. But the more you do it, I think you will catch on to, okay, I did this really uncomfortable thing, and I really messed up here. Maybe I can try it again and maybe focus on this area.
Yeah. But I love this one little moment I was able to get.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, you know, pile up those wins kind of thing.
Well, and also like you start exposing your growth areas, and that's critically important. Is like figuring out what you actually still suck at is important, because like,
and be okay with that too.
Oh yeah, and enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's the fun of it, right? It's like everything that. If it's a marriage tip too. If you're married, this is a point. Like
WeddingPros, and
it's just a life tip, which is like the second
pros.
you're good at something, it becomes boring.
Yeah.
And the second something becomes boring, that's when you start to make like, I don't want to do this.
You need
like,
some challenges.
You need challenges, and like just like with marriage, like the reason people's marriages don't work out a lot of times is because they get bored, right? And they don't do things to keep it fresh and creative and interesting.
You're not fighting for something actively.
Yeah. That's why dating is awesome. You need to date your camera too. You need to date your work, which is like try to discover more and figure out things about it. That's what makes it interesting, right?
Yeah.
What do you like to challenge yourself? What's the challenge right now that you're trying to like push yourself with?
Definitely film, because believe it or not, I feel like I'm still very new to film.
What do you like to use right now?
Kodak, is that what you mean? Like
film with cameras, all the gear. Everyone likes to know that stuff.
I mainly shoot Kodak Portra. I've tried Fuji.
Too green.
It doesn't work out for me. I don't know if I'm just doing something wrong.
It kind of has that.
I feel like other photographers do it so well. And it looks incredible. When I try to do it, it's like, what?
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
how
feel
I feel
like
with all film photography. I'm like, what?
I feel like some
looks so crappy compared to everyone.
Well, that's why it looks different. Films tend to pop in different areas of the country.
Yeah,
because that is true.
Because the environment, like when you look at like this, that like Pacific Northwest feel. It feels totally different, and it wants different things out of your camera than what we're shooting.
Like my wife and I went to Ireland a couple years ago and we did a shoot, and the photos from that shoot look completely different than any of my work. It almost doesn't look like my work. But like not in a bad way. I still loved it, but that is absolutely true.
So you're using Portra right now?
Yeah, Portra, and I shoot with Pentax 645.
Oh, you do?
Super affordable camera. Has not failed me yet.
Sweet.
Actually, it failed me one time.
Okay.
But I had a faulty back, and it was actually just personal work. We were in Yosemite.
Yep.
Actually, we were there for a wedding, and then we took the following week just to have fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of my film from that trip, just from Yosemite, not the wedding, there's like light leaks halfway through the photos, like in almost all of them. Yeah.
And was that hip and cool?
No, it was disappointing. it was disappointing and sad. But yeah, that was the only time, and I think I either got rid of that back and I got a new one. I don't even remember, but yeah, it's a super reliable camera.
Do you shoot digital at all, or when you show up, it's all 100% film?
Yes, I actually still shoot a lot of digital. Okay. For wedding work, right?
Yep.
Yes, because I also factor that into like people's budgets. Sure. Some people reach out and their budget only allows for digital work.
Totally.
And
okay, really quick.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know anything about this. So if you don't know about film, how much does it cost to buy and develop film and digitize and scans and whatnot?
Well, a box of film costs like $40, has 6 rolls. A roll has 16 frames. That's not a lot of frames per box. And it costs $35 to scan and develop each roll.
How much do you spend on a wedding?
Per wedding? I'd say like $1,000, $1,200 just on film alone.
And that's your cost.
That's my cost. Yeah.
That's a box of film or a couple boxes?
If I'm shooting all film,
yeah,
that's how much I spend.
Okay.
Usually 40 to 50 rolls of film.
Okay.
And a lot of clients have no idea.
No.
Like I have people reach out to me and they have a budget that's a little bit tight, and I try to explain to them, listen, if you with that budget, that's like basically just covers my expenses.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make that a moneymaker for you and not an impediment to getting the client?
That's a good question. If the client's budget is something that I can work with, I don't even bring it up.
Yeah, because I've always thought this with film photographers. I'm like, this is off the cuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not making any money shooting film. It doesn't
Yeah.
make you any more money because
It's-
the client
it's very
doesn't know the
expensive.
difference. And
I only verbalize the difference if I feel a connection with the couple, but their budget is a little tight. So
Sure.
I will give and take a little bit. Like,
Sure.
I'll say, hey, listen, this is the cost of film, and it's very expensive, and this is helps elevate my work. This is why my work looks this way. And I try to like really sell them to kind of like maybe to get them to open up their budget a little bit more.
Yep.
And you're making extra, like you're charging obviously money on top of the
Yeah.
cost to develop. So you
Yeah.
do make more money on a film wedding.
Yes.
Great.
And if their budget really doesn't allow for it and I still have a connection with the couple, I'll just like, okay, I'll shoot your wedding digital only. It won't look exactly like what you see on my social media. It will look very close. And we can try to make that work.
So how do you try to introduce that subject? Because you want people to buy film because not only do you enjoy it, it helps your portfolio and it makes you money. So when you're talking to a person and they call you up and they go, I love your work. Yeah. That's probably where it starts, right? Yeah. And are you immediately going like, I shoot film. That's why you love it.
Yeah. I kind of dive into it when we finally hop on a call because I don't like to give all the information in email as I've learned because people just go away and then never come back to you. I really try to explain to them like my process, and almost 95% of people are like, what is film?
Yeah. People still shoot film. Yeah.
They actually think it's like video.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not video. It's like old school film. Remember the things the negatives.
And then they're like, oh, so you'll go to CVS after. And yeah.
So I've also learned that can actually be sometimes confusing for the client.
Sure.
Yes. Totally.
So it hasn't always worked in my advantage to talk about film with a client unless they're like specifically mentioning, oh, I saw that you shoot film, or if again, like I said earlier, the budget is like a topic, then I'll explain the film. Otherwise, I really don't talk about it.
Yeah, I always find that to be so interesting because I always think like, is that like a kind of like a photographer porn thing where we're really into it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think we're like all about it, and people outside our bubble have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can still. There's a lot of great presets out there, but I mean, almost all the time, there's certain things that film does that I just like. I'm not a great photo editor. Like I can, hop in Lightroom and make images look fine, but I wouldn't say that's my greatest skill. It would be really hard for me to do a lot of the things that film does perfectly.
Just to be clear,
it is hard.
Yeah,
I prefer it, and I know the difference.
Yeah.
I'm simply talking from a marketing standpoint.
Sure. Totally.
From a creating standpoint, clearly what you're able to like. If you go look at like a lot of like a Vanity Fair or whatever, like that's probably mostly medium format film.
Yeah.
Or like
potentially, or
some
format,
digital, but like
digital.
but a lot of the work we all love that's all around the world is film, and clearly it's changing. Probably digital is getting, but like film just resolves so differently, and it's got that
has a unique look.
The smearing colors happen, and there's just even the way it interacts with your lens.
Looks like a painting. Yeah, that's I think the best way I could describe to somebody is just like looks like a.
It's more forgiving, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But unless you totally screw it up, which it's very unforgiving. It is what it is. But once you get it, and so I always think I think there is opportunity there. I think if people can figure out a language around the marketing, and I know some people probably are able to, like, I think there is opportunity. I think there is a couple that wants that and does see a value in it. And
I think
like,
more sophisticated couples.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think when you get into that high-end luxury always is all about exclusivity.
Yeah.
And so, well, what's the difference between you and someone else? Glad you asked.
Yeah.
This exclusivity. You have access to this that other people can't have. And it's like, I do think it's a very smart, the reason why people say fine art, film, all that stuff, it's a market differentiator that establishes you as, and it's real too. It's a real difference.
Yeah.
We do the same thing with our high-end wedding films. We shoot cinema cameras.
Yes. Which makes a huge difference.
It does make a difference, not to every couple visually that they know, but the fact that I'm doing it makes a difference emotionally to them.
Yeah.
When we're sitting them and talking about it, saying, oh, I'm using cinema cameras.
Yeah. And when we show up, I mean, the weddings that we've done, people are like, what are you guys using? Like, it makes a difference on site.
Other
like,
vendors.
Other vendors are like, who are you guys?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like you guys are the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just pretty easy, actually.
So it probably does impact you in ways you don't know.
Yeah.
And I do think it adds to sale, and it's not for everyone, of course, but I do think it adds it's a marketing tool for sure. It is just tricky, and I think if you don't know how to push it and sell it, I guess if you're new and starting out and you're not comfortable trying to define the difference to a client and make them understand why they want it, or if you're selling $2,500 weddings.
Yeah.
Unless you just, like, it makes no sense to shoot film.
Yeah. No, I mean, you make the money.
Yeah.
You literally probably lose money.
Yes. So that's why I thought it was interesting to talk about. Because I think we do we like film photographers.
Yeah.
We talk to them. And I don't think we've ever talked about the fact we were developing some Super 8 and some 16 millimeter this week. And Jared's like, it's going to be $2,000 to film and scan this.
Yeah. I was looking at the film you had outside. I'm like, geez, I can only imagine how it's going to
the 16
how much
millimeter.
that'll cost.
I was like, and so we did this thing. So Jay shot
it was like
his
6
honeymoon
years.
on Super 8, and we gave it to a friend to shoot Super 8 on their honeymoon. We're like, we're gonna sell honeymoon Super 8 to these.
We didn't look at the price.
We didn't look at, we're just like,
no.
oh yeah. And then we did it,
gosh.
and I'm like, so we have this film sitting here, probably 8 years now.
5 years.
5 years, okay.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Haven't developed it, so I mean, who knows what it looks like? Who knows what it looks like in the first place? But yeah, we might take that leap now. I don't know.
But when we were like, oh, we're gonna create this, anybody we can give them Super 8s and have them go on their vacation, and then we'll get it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
in my head, it seems like a good idea, but then it's like I'd have to charge a person $2,000.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do
They're like,
that.
no way. For a film that I shot myself.
Yeah. Well, it'll make a nice, like, style me pretty, look at what these wedding videographers did.
Yeah.
But, so Eli, you're a pretty creative dude. I find a lot of times us creatives, like, we find the fuel to kind of drive our creativity outside of the medium that we're actually trying to accomplish. So, like, I'm a photographer, filmmaker. I like movies. I like, music. What do you find that is driving you these days? What are you into?
That drives my creativity.
Yeah.
Or drives anything.
Honestly, self-awareness.
Yeah.
This past, I would say last year, I've done like a lot of soul searching.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Enneagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, tell me about yourself.
yeah.
Let's do an Enneagram
Oh,
talk.
yeah. Okay. Now we can dive in a little deeper. Wow.
Well, it's just,
What are you?
I'm a 3.
I vacillate between a 7 and an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you could be a 7. You look like a 7.
I got a little bit of challenger, but also,
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, the Enneagram seems super simple on the surface, but the more you dive into it, the more complex it gets.
Sure.
And just like peeling back the layers of who I thought I was.
Yeah.
And of my goals and aspirations and things that I wanted in life were actually other people's goals and aspirations.
Self-awareness, man.
Yeah.
It's huge. Kind of peeling back those layers and just being like, well, this is where I am. This isn't who I like think I am. This is actually like who I am.
Yeah.
Start ground zero so you can be like, okay, this is what I want to move forward to now. Like, peel away all the crap. This is what I actually want to move towards. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So it's been incredibly difficult because like who likes being exposed to like their most insecure,
Yeah.
darkest part of themselves.
Yeah.
But it's really opened up to, it's opened up my perspective in a lot of ways, in terms of compassion towards myself, and just allowing myself to fail, allowing myself to just extend grace on myself, but also towards others as well, because it not only helps me understand who I am, it helps me understand others, and that kind of just been fueling like all of my creativity recently, which is kind of the reason why I've decided to be like way more open and vulnerable with my clients and on social media, to kind of like dig deeper and build that deeper connection with people.
Dude, I find that the people that I respect the most, I find usually have they're super self-aware, and they're like, these are the areas I need to grow in. The people that don't grow are the people that think they're awesome all the time.
Oh my gosh.
We're dealing with all these people, like, and so we obviously have a company, so we have people work. We see a whole range of different types of people. The people that grow the most are the people that are always like, I suck at this. And we're working with this one guy who's like so disappointed. He makes a little mistake. He's so disappointed in himself. Yeah. And he has, in a month, has grown leaps and bounds because he's just like, I need to get better. You have a self-awareness of yourself. Like, I suck at this.
I
it's just like
remember sitting down with someone about something, so we'll keep it vague.
A thing about a thing?
A thing about a thing.
Good.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
This is a great podcast.
Something I'm in charge of. And the person, I wanted them to be involved and to help out. And I wanted to mentor them. I was like, this person has potential. They can become good. I sat them down, and the person's like, I could really help you in a few areas. I noticed you're kind of disorganized and all this stuff. And I was like, so.
Excuse me?
So I was like, okay, come on. You're like, because I've learned the hard way. Like over the years, I've just like, okay, do it. Yeah. Like, and so I brought and the person couldn't function the basic functions of needed to like be competent at the thing, let alone help me with anything. Could he help me a little with a few things? Maybe. Would I ever let him? Would that be what I would encourage him to do? No, I'd be like, no, you need to like learn basic skills, and then we can talk about that other stuff. And that's just like a self-awareness. And that person they're not good because of it. Like they would be good if they would actually be aware of where they needed to improve and grow. And that counts not just with your art, it's just as a person. But I don't think they're different, right? No. You do your art, whatever. If you're improving as a person, your art is going to improve.
Yeah, I think so for sure. It's like, it's correlated.
Totally.
That's what Chris Orwig says in that. By the way, he's going to be at WPPI.
We should grab him.
WPPI. Oh my gosh, if we can grab him,
he's private message him every week.
He's my crush, my
do it.
Like my childhood crush.
Turn on the charm. Don't make me do everything.
I know.
I'm not charming.
But he says in one of the chapters of that book, Visual Poetry, he says, or maybe he brought an instructor in to teach his class, and they were like, if you want to become a better photographer, you have to become a better person.
Yeah. Well, like, and it seems so played out. Yeah. It is kind of abstract, but it just works.
The more you're in the industry or doing your craft, you realize it's so true.
So true. Yeah. So we're going to talk about, change gears a little bit, and let's talk about what we're into these days. We're going to do what's your favorite thing, and why don't you start us out, Jared? What's your favorite thing? And
So I feel like since we came back from Vision Quest, my favorite thing in general has been like media, movies, like TV shows, and trying to understand the concepts behind like shows, and that's the stuff that's most interesting to me is when the concept is good. It's not just like I find I can't stand more than ever. My wife watches a lot of like reality TV and a lot of these like Netflix shows like. The Circle is out right now. Did you see that on Netflix? She's watching that. I wanted to pull my hair out the whole time. I'm like,
you didn't like it?
I can't do it.
It's so vapid.
I binge watched it.
Well,
my wife wanted to watch.
You know what though? I
will let her.
I do love the production value of it. Like I'm like, how do they? Okay, so they have these cameras that are set up, and so I'm thinking about all those things, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. But the people, I'm just like, I can't do the people. But anyways.
I increasingly don't want to watch a show if I wouldn't want to hang out with that person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, because I'm spending all night with this person, and I'm like, I can't stand this person.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't watch the show, so I might actually love it.
The Outsider on HBO, that's my favorite thing right now. It keeps getting better. It's one of those shows that's like the first episode, you're like, okay, this is a show. It's going to be like a little bit like True Detective, maybe not as good. And
depending on
it's
the
slowly evolving. Oh yeah, the first season. Slowly evolving into something else. It's a Stephen King novel. And so the concept is, Alex Douglas, I posted on Facebook, Alex Douglas was like, it's a little too Stephen King-y for my taste, which I thought I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But I love the acting in it. I think it's really good. I love like the sound design in it is amazing. And I like the story. I think the story is really good and evolving into something really interesting that I didn't think it was going to evolve into. So check it out. The Outsider
on HBO.
Yeah.
We're not getting sponsored by them. They can if they want.
Yeah. They won't want.
They don't want them. Why would anyone working on that show even know about what?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Jay?
I am really into dumplings these days.
Oh my gosh, me too.
I mean,
like, so I just, maybe it's a lifelong passion. You know?
that's what I was going to say.
Like, are you making dumplings?
That's
or
like,
I make dumplings sometimes, but I eat them. I make them you know what's funny is people are like, oh, that's not a dumpling, it's a pot sticker. I'm like, it's a dumpling. A pot sticker is a dumpling. It's just one that you don't boil. It sticks to the pot. I love dumplings. Into those these days. Recently, more like Szechuan style dumplings, like super spicy dumplings. Yeah. I just love dumplings with a deep passion. But also, I stayed in this hotel in Phoenix last week, the Arizona Biltmore, and it's like old luxury. Like it's one of the first luxury resorts in Arizona. Like there's pictures of like Clark Gable there and all these like celebrities. And they had
love that place.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It was such a great hotel. And they had like, it was designed by a Frank Lloyd Wright student. Yeah. So I just love modernism. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have dumplings, which is unfortunate. But they did have this room called the Gold Room. And it was this giant banquet hall, probably like 150 feet long with beautiful like Art Deco style. It was kind of like modernism meets The Great Gatsby, meets like stone desert hard concrete design. So just really fascinating. The ceiling in this place was gold. Wow. All gold. Like 200 feet gold ceiling.
Wow.
And I was like, I want to shoot in this room. It would look so good, especially at night. And then the other side is all Egyptian artwork on the wall.
Wow.
It was wacky.
Classic deco.
It was awesome. So I was into that hotel and dumplings.
Yeah. Cool. Eli.
Also dumplings.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I just discovered this Asian market where I live.
Oh yeah.
Called what's it called? Good Fortune.
In Providence.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like hidden. It looks a little like the way you get.
Do they sell all the weird stuff?
They sell a lot of weird stuff.
Nice. Like the cockroaches. They sell the bugs.
Actually, they sell crickets. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one in Woonsocket that sells these giant roaches.
Oh, dude.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
And every time we go there, me and my wife just spend hours at looking at the frozen. And we normally don't eat like frozen dinners, but lately we're just like, who have we become? We're like eating frozen TV dinners every night, but it's just dumplings. Yeah. And we just bought a steamer, and we've been using that thing religiously every night.
Sweet.
Because
Do you guys
so
cook
delicious.
a lot?
We actually we love to cook.
Yeah.
Sometimes we actually fight about who gets to cook.
Okay.
Yeah, I love experimenting in the kitchen as well, but I also love when I come home and she has already food cooked.
Totally.
And I don't have to do it.
This is
Jay's
not
a cook.
I love cooking. My wife she thinks a bad cook. I think it's great. Whatever. Like, how much different is your opinion of food when someone else makes it for you?
Tasty.
Versus like when you have to make it. Like when I like to cook, but when my wife makes food, I'm like, oh, because she's actually we found this out this week. I don't know if she's gonna want me to reveal it to the world, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We did the DNA.
She doesn't watch the podcast.
Yeah, she doesn't listen.
My wife doesn't.
We did the DNA test.
She listened the first 5 minutes to make sure I'm not stuttering or something.
Her brother,
so she can harass me.
Her brother did that. It was like one of those DNA tests.
Yeah.
So my wife, her whole life, thought she was Puerto Rican.
No way, she's not.
She's 3% Puerto Rican.
Wow.
She's
Was she
like,
wait. But
she's
it's
38%
different.
Spain.
Okay, yeah.
35% like Native American Indian down.
Was she
like,
born in Puerto Rico?
No. She was born in the States, but her dad was Guatemalan.
Gotcha.
So they're like 35% like just Mayan Indian and
it can vary person to person too, like sibling to sibling.
Yeah, of course. There's 3%, but
did she take it? She didn't take it.
Her brother did, and so we're gonna take it. But like,
okay,
maybe 4%.
Apparently, like, so I went and told the uncles. They're like, "Oh yeah, no one's Puerto Rican." She's like, "Oh, we're all just a mix of a bunch of different people who came.
Or
to the
Spanish
island.
who lived in Puerto Rico."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, he's like, "What does that even mean?" But all back to the food thing. I love it when I get home and there's food there.
Yeah, me too.
No matter what it is.
Yeah.
Like if my wife's like, "I thought about you and I made you this peanut butter sandwich."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, this is the best peanut butter sandwich ever."
Yeah.
I will take anything. If it's food, if you made it for me, I'll love you forever.
Yep.
My wife, she's a godsend. Seriously, like I feel like I don't deserve her. Every morning, she wakes up before me and she always prepares my breakfast.
What?
I'm like,
oh yeah.
And my coworkers make fun of me. He's like, "Eli, you don't deserve her." I was like, "I know, I don't."
That's incredible.
She's an angel.
My wife won't let me have eggs right now. She's pregnant,
Uh-huh.
so she can't stand the smell. That's her thing. Like one of the things.
No.
Coffee. I can't make coffee in the house, which is brutal. But I can't also make eggs. So I made a deal with her. I was like, I won't make eggs if I can buy a Stetson hat. She was like, okay, deal. So that was our deal. Is I don't make eggs for 6 months in the house. I can have eggs. I just can't make them at the house. And so breakfast has been tough lately because you can't make eggs. Only cereal.
Which I love.
And yogurt. Yeah, me too. I mean, I have cereal all day, every day.
Yeah.
But
It's a problem. Cereal's bad.
yeah. It's like 11 o'clock cereal every night.
You're literally just eating a candy bar with
What's
milk.
your favorite cereal?
Ooh, I like a lot of those. I mean, those super candy ones are probably my favorite ones. Cookie Crunch. I love.
yeah.
It's a little too hard for me.
You don't like Crunch?
I do like it, but I prefer it's.
Fruity Pebbles
I like
too.
crisp more than crunch.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm a crisp guy.
Yeah.
Like
Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, you know what I really
Fruity
actually.
Pebbles are good.
Yeah.
This is healthy and I love it. Is Raisin Bran.
Oh, I actually love Raisin
I love
Bran.
Raisin Bran.
I like the Raisin Bran Crunch.
Me
though.
too. That's the best
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Raisin Bran Crunch with a little bit of.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I add extra
Granola or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the best.
extra sugar.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. We got next week. We have the Hans from Hustle and Flow on, and they're gonna blow your mind. And
Business wise, yeah.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people coming up. Like I said, we got the guys from
Henry is next week too, right?
No.
He's
Maybe.
in a couple
No,
weeks?
he is actually.
I think
He's
yeah.
going to be out on the podcast
Yep.
in 2 weeks. But we're doing Henry Martins from the Brothers Martin. Like I said, a bunch of people. So you definitely want to subscribe because we're trying to, if I was to say what I'm actually trying to improve at as a business is scheduling good guests. So we're trying to get some guests that I think would give you guys real insight into people's processes and what their business is. And I mean, we would hope that if you're a wedding professional and you're listening to this, that you realize you're not lame. Like, you're cool. Wedding professionals are cool. There's a lot of really cool people. It's a great thing to be involved in, and it's a real privilege, and it's not like a step down from commercial work. It's just
Absolutely not.
It's just a different thing.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And there's really cool people. So definitely check it out. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Eli. Thank you for being on, man. This has been awesome.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.